Part 1. Her Highness doesn't want to work hard anymore. Author, De Guo Li. Chapter 1. On the soft bed, Hua Manman was sleeping soundly. She was suddenly awakened by a series of system sounds. The system releases important plot tasks. The host is requested to go to the garden to commit suicide by jumping into the lake immediately, and express in front of King Zhao and everyone that he does not want to marry into the palace. The task is limited to half an hour. If the host fails to complete the task within the time limit, the host task will be judged to have failed. Reward: a lucky bag for successful mission. Mission failure will receive heartache punishment. Host, please come on. Hua Manman suddenly opened his eyes, and sat up abruptly. Before her mind was fully awake, her hands and feet had already lifted the quilt and got out of bed, driven by instinct. The servant girl guarding the door heard the sound and immediately knocked on the door. "Second miss, are you awake?" After getting the affirmative response from the second lady, the maids dared to open the door. Si Yun asked while serving the second lady to wash up. "It's still early, don't you want to sleep a little longer?" On weekdays, the second lady has the habit of taking a lunch break, and usually sleeps for about half an hour, but today she just woke up after a short nap. Huaman wants to cry but has no tears. She doesn't want to get up now. Isn't it all forced by system tasks? She had been punished by the system for failing to complete the task before, and it hurt her to death. No matter what she said this time, she couldn't fail again. She didn't want to bear that kind of heartache like a knife again. Hua Manman didn't ask the maids to make up for herself, and after washing and getting dressed, she hurried to the garden. The gardens in Chang'anbo House are beautifully built. Pavilions, terraces and pavilions, mountains and rivers interlaced. Hua Manman has no intention of admiring the beautiful scenery. Now she can only hear the sound of the system counting down. That cold and inorganic voice was like a terrible reminder to her. Regardless of the yelling of the maids behind her, she held up her skirt and ran all the way, running faster and faster. When she ran to the edge of the lake, she saw a group of people standing on the other side of the lake at a glance, and the leader was Li Ji, King Zhao. Li Ji was wearing a crimson brocade robe with wide sleeves, with long and narrow eyebrows, and his black hair was casually tied behind his head by a black headband. He has limited legs and feet, so he can only sit in a wheelchair. His upper body is slightly tilted to the side, and a strand of hair on his forehead brushes against his cheeks, giving him a lazy look. Hua Dingzong, Zhong'anbo, was bending over, talking to him politely. The group of people who followed all lowered their heads and lowered their eyes, dutifully acting as the background board. At this point, the system counts down to the last 3 minutes. There can be no further delay. Hua Manman took a deep breath, and shouted at the people on the other side of the lake with all his strength. "Father, I don't want to marry King Zhao. If you force me again, I will die for you." The girl's voice was clear and sweet, reaching the ears of everyone on the other side of the lake. Everyone was in an uproar. Hua Dingzong was shocked. He subconsciously glanced at King Zhao next to him, and saw that the expression on King Zhao's face didn't change much, but his eyes were colder and deeper than before. Hua Dingzong's heart skipped a beat. It's over. Although King Zhao has been transferred back to Shangjing, and his legs are seriously injured, he does not know whether he will be able to stand up in the future, but the illustrious military exploits he has made still give him a very high reputation in the army. Almost all generals in the Zhou dynasty looked up to him as a leader, and he was a formidable figure who could not be offended. Hua Dingzong was furious, and was about to order someone to take his second daughter back and lock him up, but before he could say anything, he saw his second daughter jump into the cold and deep lake. With a plop, the lake water splashed high. Seeing this, the servant girls who followed were all so frightened that their faces paled and they screamed. "It's not good." The second lady jumped into the lake. "Come quickly. Open a new book." As usual, Let's clear the minds for everyone first. The background of this article is empty, and the settings in the article are purely made up. If you find something that you think is unreasonable, don't argue with me. If you have to argue, it means that what you said is right. During the fattening period of the new book, you can go to see my previous articles that have been completed, and you can find them by searching my pen name. During the new book period, 4,000 words are updated every day, and the update time is 12 o'clock in the evening. Finally, the new book needs to climb the list. Please vote and leave a message to collect. Thank you for your support. 90 degrees bow. Her Highness doesn't want to work hard anymore. Author, De Guo Li. Chapter 2. Hua Manman traveled to this world 3 months ago. The reason for the time travel was simply because she read a Gongdu novel called Gong Mao. At this time, her whole body was wrapped in the icy lake water, unable to breathe, and felt extremely uncomfortable. If she had known earlier that she would travel back to the book and become the vicious and brain-damaged female supporting role in the book, even if she had been bored to death, even if she jumped from the apartment she lived in, she would never have clicked on that Gong Mao. Someone jumped into the water, grabbed her by the arm, and dragged her to the shore. When Hua Manman was rescued ashore, before he could take a breath, he was slapped hard by Hua Dingzong. There was a crisp sound. Everyone on the scene stopped in fright. Hua Manman was beaten to the side of her head, her left cheek was burning with pain. Hua Dingzong scolded her fiercely. "You're already 15 years old, you're old enough, why are you still so self-willed? Are you smart at what you do and what you say? What crime did our Hua family do to raise such a rebellious and unfilial idiot like you?" Not far away, Li Ji was sitting in a wheelchair, watching all this coldly as a bystander. Zhong Anbo was furious, and no one dared to dissuade him. Someone secretly ran to inform MR's uncle. Hua Manman covered her red and swollen cheeks, tears welled up in her eyes, her delicate body trembled uncontrollably, looking extremely embarrassed. But even so, she still raised her head, as if putting all her eggs in one basket, choked up and said, "I don't want to marry King Zhao. I don't want to marry a cripple." She knew that King Zhao was watching not far away, and she also knew that this crippled prince in a wheelchair would hold great power in the future and become the regent with great power. Offending him will definitely not have any good fruit to eat. But she can't help it. She has to get the job done. She could only cry in her heart. "Wu, His Royal Highness Zhao Wang, I beg you, don't remember the faults of villains, and don't take my nonsense to heart." Hua Dingzong was so angry that his second daughter was so stubborn. He raised his hand to slap his second daughter in the face again, but was stopped in time by MR's uncle He, who rushed over in a hurry. She who used her usual tricks in front of her precious daughter. "Manman is in such a miserable state, it's okay if you don't care about it, but you still beat her and scold her, are you still her own father? Come on, you hit me, if you have the ability, you will beat both of us to death." Hua Dingzong was almost driven mad by the mother and daughter. But in front of outsiders, he had to try his best to save the face of the Bafu. So he let He take Hua Manman away. A system prompt sounded in Hua Manman's mind. "Congratulations to the host for completing the important plot task." Hua Dingzong told the people to keep their mouths shut and not to spread the matter to the outside world, then walked up to King Zhao, bent down, and kept apologizing. "It's the little girl who is ignorant and disturbed the Lord, and I ask the Lord to see that she is young and ignorant, don't be as knowledgeable as her, and I will definitely teach her a lesson later, so that this kind of thing will never happen again." After waiting for a long time, there was no response from King Zhao. Hua Dingzong raised his head cautiously, but he saw that King Zhao was looking at the direction where he and Hua Manman were leaving. Hua Dingzong felt more and more uneasy. Although this King Zhao has just returned to Shangjing, there are many rumors about him. It is said that he is moody, murderous without batting an eyelid, vicious and treacherous, and will take revenge. All in all, not a good thing to say. Hua Manman made such a fuss today, he must have offended King Zhao to death. The marriage between him and Hua Manman is probably going to fail. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Highness doesn't want to work hard anymore. Author, De Guo Li. Chapter 3. Hua Dingzong's mind turned quickly. If King Zhao didn't want Hua Manman, he would push his eldest daughter out. The eldest daughter is better than the second daughter in terms of appearance, figure, temperament, and talent. Presumably King Zhao would be willing. As for the birth date of the eldest daughter, just find a way to change it. At this moment, Hua Dingzong suddenly saw King Zhao raised his lips and smiled. His tone was unclear. Don't hit her next time, after all, it's the child that this king is about to marry. Hua Dingzong respectfully sent King Zhao and his party out of the gate of the uncle's mansion. When everyone was gone, Hua Dingzong was still in a daze. Just now Hua Manman was looking for life and death in front of King Zhao, but instead of being angry, King Zhao continued to agree on the date of marriage with him as if nothing had happened. The thoughts of His Royal Highness King Zhao are really very understandable. The courtyard where Hua Manman lives is called Yalanju. At this moment, she has changed her clothes and is being comforted in the arms of her mother, Mrs. She, my son, why are you so stupid? Even if you have something unhappy, you can tell me. How can you not think about committing suicide by jumping into the lake? You are the heart and soul of your mother who was born in October. Meet, if you die, how will you let your mother live? Hua Manman changed her decision just now, nestled in his arms obediently, and honestly admitted her mistake. Mother, I was wrong, I will never dare again in the future. The original owner was very unpopular at home because of her domineering personality, and only Mrs. wholeheartedly protected her in the entire uncle's residence. Hua Manman felt very guilty. Because of her dangerous behavior, she was frightened. It's rare for Mrs. to see her so obedient. Thinking that she was frightened by her father's slap just now, she couldn't help feeling even more distressed. Good boy, it's fine if you know you're wrong. Don't worry, as long as your mother is here, you won't be wronged. You should rest well. Mother will go to your father and ask him to push back your marriage with King Zhao. Hua Manman thought, even if Mrs. didn't mention it, King Zhao would definitely withdraw the marriage. The reason why Hua Manman was able to become King Zhao's child candidate was thanks to Princess Ningjiang's blessing. Princess Ningyang is the aunt of the current emperor, and also the grandmother of King Zhao Liji. She is a very powerful figure. She asked an expert to make a fortune for King Zhao, and learned that King Zhao had too much evil spirit in his life, and he had to marry a concubine who was born on the 5th day of May during the Duanyang festival, so as to suppress his evil spirit. This Princess Ningyang is also a talent. Adhering to the principle that the more the better, she actually found 4 unmarried women of the right age who were born on the Duanyang festival. But none of these 4 people can match Zhao Wang's identity. So Princess Ningyang chose 2 of them with higher status to hire as Ruren, and the other 2 as concubines. Hua Manman happens to be one of Ruren's candidates. According to the development of the original story, after she committed suicide by jumping into the lake, King Zhao cancelled her marriage with Hua Manman. Afterwards, Hua Manman entered the palace with her sister to participate in the draft. Both sisters were selected and remained in the palace as concubines of the emperor. And this is the beginning of the main plot of Gongmao. As soon as he walked to the door of the room, he saw Hua Dingzong strode in. Wiping away tears, he complained, "What are you doing here? Do you still want to slap Manman again?" Hua Dingzong didn't want to waste much time with this woman with long hair and short knowledge. He went straight to the bed, looked at the second daughter whose face was swollen, and said in a firm tone, "The wedding date is set on the 3rd day of next month. During this time, you should recuperate your wounds in the house. I will let people watch you. Without my permission, you are not allowed to take a step in Yalanju. Hua Manman was stunned. What date of marriage? Hasn't King Zhao already called off the engagement? In this article, the configuration of the backyard of the palace is 1 concubine, 2 children, 10 concubines, and there is no limit to the number of singing and dancing girls. Her Highness doesn't want to work hard anymore. Author, De Guo Li. Chapter 4. After everyone had left, Hua Manman frantically called the system in his mind. According to the development of the original story, King Zhao should have already requested to cancel the engagement. Why does Cheap Father want her to marry King Zhao on the 3rd day of next month? What exactly is going on? However, no matter how she called, the system seemed to be dead, without any response. Now that the plot deviates from the original main line, Hua Manman feels panicked. Although the supporting actress she played is very brain-dead, she is a very important role in the early and mid-term of Gongmao. Her existence is to serve as a foil for the heroine and her own sister. The more stupid, brain-dead, greedy, and selfish she is, the more she can highlight her sister's intelligence, cleverness, kindness, and generosity. In short, she is a tool person. When she read the article at the beginning, she looked at it from the perspective of the heroine Hua Qingqing. Every time she saw Hua Qingqing slapping the female partner in the face, Hua Manman felt very happy, but now she has become this. There is only one word left for the female supporting role who slapped her face. Angry. She is also a living person of flesh and blood, so why is she being beaten around like a living target? When she first transmigrated, she learned that she would die miserably in the future. She felt unwilling and decided to resist. She wants to break away from the established fate line so that she can live freely and happily. As a result, he was ruthlessly sanctioned by the plot system. As long as she dares to do anything that violates the main plot, she will be heartbroken like a knife. Not only that, the system will release plot tasks to her from time to time. She must complete the task as required, otherwise she will be punished by the system. After experiencing the price of heartache like a knife, Hua Manman gave up struggling and decided to lie down honestly and be a salted fish. She can do whatever the system asks her to do, she can count on her day to day, so what about her other loves? Now that the plot deviates from the main line, will the system let her take the blame and punish her again? Hua Manman felt uneasy. She waited for a long time until the next day, but she didn't feel the heartache that life was worse than death. She secretly breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that the system is reasonable and did not force her to take the blame. When she thought that she didn't have to enter the palace to share an old cucumber with so many women, Hua Manman suddenly felt better. For breakfast, she ate 2 more bowls of porridge than usual. Seeing that the second lady was in a good mood, Si Yun said cautiously. "Second miss, uncle just sent someone to deliver the dress, when will you try it on?" As long as it is a woman, there is no one who does not like beautiful skirts. Hua Manman is no exception. "Try it now." Seeing that she didn't resist, Si Yun heaved a sigh of relief, but at the same time couldn't help feeling more distressed. The second young lady is really pitiful. She obviously already has someone she likes in her heart, but she has to be forced to marry someone else, for which she almost lost her life, and now she has to force herself to smile. Because it's just a child, the dress skirt can't be red, only silver red. Large peonies are embroidered on the chest, the wide sleeves hang down to the sides, the waist is tightly tied, and the long skirt is dragging behind, graceful and graceful. Hua Manman's body is inherently beautiful. With such a dress, she looks more and more radiant and unbelievably beautiful. It's just that the scars on her face are too ugly. Thinking of this, she suddenly remembered the lucky bag rewarded by the system. It is said to be a lucky bag, but it is really a red lucky bag, with an ordinary appearance and ordinary workmanship. She opened the lucky bag, and inside was a box of ointment. Her Highness doesn't want to work hard anymore. Author, De Guo Li. Chapter 5. Huamanman calls the system again. What is this medicine for? This time the system finally responded. This is Swaya cream, which can promote blood circulation, remove swelling, relieve pain, remove scars, and make the skin more delicate and smooth. Huamanman took the opportunity to ask about the deviation of the plot from the main line. The system goes into a dead state again and does not respond. Huamanman can see that, as long as it is related to the plot, this system will not say a word. She sat in front of the vanity mirror and carefully applied Swaya cream to her face. This ointment looks white, and when applied to the face, it will become transparent and be absorbed quickly, accompanied by a refreshing and cooling feeling. It's quite comfortable. I don't know if it was her illusion, but she felt that the redness and swelling on her face had lessened. When Mrs. came in, seeing her daughter's outfit, she first praised her severely, and then couldn't help but sigh. It's hard for you. For our uncle's house, I wronged myself to marry someone I don't like. Although King Zhao has high authority, he is crippled. Mrs. saw King Zhao sitting in a wheelchair with his own eyes that day. As long as she thinks that her precious daughter is going to marry a cripple, she feels extremely uncomfortable. She, how about I go talk to your father and let him find a way to call off this marriage? Huamanman hurriedly grabbed she. No need. It's fine for me to marry King Zhao. He looked at her daughter in surprise. In order not to marry King Zhao, her daughter has used all methods. Why did she suddenly change her mind now? Huamanman knows that she can't collapse the human design, otherwise it will easily arouse the suspicion of others. She pursed her lips and hummed dissatisfiedly. After yesterday's incident, I have already seen that it is impossible for father to withdraw from this marriage. Even if mother goes to fight with him, he will not change his mind. Forget it, let's do it. I have accepted my fate, mother. Stop arguing with dad about my affairs, it's really annoying to quarrel. He sighed. As the first wife of the uncle, she can naturally see that the uncle is determined to marry Zhao Wangfu. No one can change uncle's decision unless Prince Zhao's mansion proposes to withdraw. He's just not reconciled. She doesn't want to watch her daughter marry into the palace and suffer. She looked at the beautiful daughter in front of her, and said helplessly. I originally wanted you to marry Zaiwen. I watched that child grow up, and he and you are cousins. If you can marry him, he will definitely treat you well, and his family will not lose money. It's a pity. It's a pity that people are not as good as heaven. While comforting Mrs. Huamanman secretly rejoiced. Fortunately, she did not marry cousin Zaiwen. She can't accept close relatives getting married. In order to prevent her daughter from being underestimated by the people in the palace, the He family specially bought a lot of dowry for her. All kinds of property shops, gold, silver, jewelry, silk, satin, antique calligraphy and paintings, as long as the He family can get it, all are added to the daughter's dowry list. This caused dissatisfaction among the old lady and the second and third bedrooms. The dowry of the daughters of the uncle's mansion is fixed. Even if Huamanman is marrying the prince, it can't exceed 4 or 5 times the normal fixed number, right? This is too exaggerated. The old lady asked Hua Dingzong and she to come over to talk, and wanted them to cut Huamanman's dowry in half. Now the He family is in charge in the backyard of the uncle's mansion, but the old lady still has a lot of power to speak. If it is something else, he can take a step back, but this matter involves her daughter marrying into the palace. Whether she can live a good life or not, she can't take a step back. This pissed off the old lady. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Highness doesn't want to work hard anymore. Author, De Guo Li. Chapter 6. The old lady asked Hua Dingzong to say something. She believed that her eldest son must be on her side. This is indeed the case on weekdays. If there is a conflict between the old lady and the He family, Hua Dingzong will basically stand by the old lady's side. The reason is that filial piety is the first priority in everything. But this time Hua Dingzong did not make the old lady fulfill her wish. He already owed her for forcing his second daughter to marry King Zhao. With guilt in his heart, he gave his second daughter more dowry as his compensation to her. In the future, when she gained a firm foothold in the palace, she could stretch out her hand to pull Zhongnanbo's mansion. The couple refused to let go. The old lady returned home in a hurry, so angry that she didn't even eat lunch. She hid in the Buddhist hall alone and sulked. In the end, it was the eldest lady Hua Qingqing who came forward to coax the old lady. After Hua Manman learned of this, she couldn't help feeling emotional in her heart. She really deserves to be the heroine in Gongmao. As long as she came forward, a mere old lady would be nothing to worry about. Say Cao and Cao will arrive. Hua Qingqing came to Yalanju. As the heroine in Gongmao, her appearance is naturally impeccable. It's not an exaggeration to describe her as a country and a city. Otherwise, how could she stand out from the 3,000 beauties and become the final champion of palace fighting? She is a very traditional Gongdao Wen heroine. Before entering the palace, she was an innocent, lovely, gentle, and innocent little white flower, with kindness towards everyone. Until later, she experienced a series of conspiracies and calculations in the palace, and gradually became darker and more scheming. At this time, Hua Qingqing still maintained her little white flower persona, very innocent and harmless. Even though she knew that her second sister didn't like her, after learning that her second sister was injured by jumping into the lake, she still came to visit her second sister with the soup she made herself. Second sister, this is kidney bean hoof soup. I know you don't like chopped green onion, so I didn't put green onion on purpose. Try it and see if you like it. Hua Manman has to accept the heroine's overtures. Hua Manman picked up the bowl and drank a big mouthful of soup, and praised it vigorously. It's delicious. My sister's craftsmanship is awesome. Hua Qingqing was surprised. Second sister, why are you? In the past, every time the second younger sister saw her, she would always pick her nose and eyes, looking for faults in all kinds of ways. Before Hua Qingqing came to bring soup to the second sister, she was already mentally prepared to be ridiculed and disgusted by the second sister. But I didn't expect the second sister to react like this. This caused Hua Qingqing to have many doubts in her heart. Hua Manman quickly realized that this is a collapse of her own design. She immediately put down the bowl, cleared her throat, and raised her chin deliberately to show arrogance. I teased you just now, don't you take it seriously? Just this bowl of broken soup, who cares? After she finished speaking, she snorted heavily. But she didn't notice that there was still a small piece of kidney bean sticking to her mouth at this moment. Coupled with her red and swollen cheeks on one side, it made her look less like an arrogant and domineering female supporting role, and more like a pitiful and cute little white cat. The doubts in Hua Qingqing's heart dissipated quickly, and she even felt an urge to reach out to Rua's second sister. But she knew that she and her second younger sister were not familiar enough to touch their heads at will, so she could only suppress the impulse in her heart and smiled softly. You are going to get married next month. I don't have anything good to give you. This jade bracelet is left by my mother. I wear it all the time. If you don't mind, I will give it to her. You're here, it's a makeup gift for you. After she finished speaking, she took off a white jade bracelet from her left wrist and put it in front of her second sister. Her Highness doesn't want to work hard anymore. Author, De Guo Li. Chapter 7. Hua Manman always remembers her arrogant female supporting role, picks up the jade bracelet to look at it, and speaks with disdain. It's just such a broken bracelet, you're so embarrassed to get it out. After she finished speaking, she was about to throw it on the ground. But she thought that this was a jade bracelet, and it would definitely shatter if it fell to the ground. Her hand turned a corner in mid-air, and threw the jade bracelet onto the bed forcefully. The jade bracelet was intact on the thick and soft quilt. When Hua Qingqing looked over, Hua Manman deliberately put her hips on her hips and stared. Did you see that? I'm super fierce. Hua Qingqing saw the change in her movements just now, and her heart became softer. She didn't expect that the second younger sister usually looked arrogant, but she was actually just pretending. In fact, the second sister has a very good heart. Hua Manman didn't know what the heroine was thinking, she was applauding like a seal in her heart. Pay Papa, I'm such a mediocre acting genius. Hua Qingqing felt that the second sister had become much cuter, and wanted to spend more time with her, but the old lady sent someone to urge her to go back. She could only get up and say goodbye. As soon as Hua Qingqing left, Hua Manman immediately picked up the bowl and slurped down the soup. Just now she wasn't flattering, she was telling the truth, this soup is really delicious. She really deserves to be the heroine, even her cooking skills are top-notch. At this moment, Hua Qingqing suddenly left and returned. As soon as she entered the door, she saw the second younger sister gulping down the soup with a bowl in her hand. Seeing her greedy face, she really wanted to bury her whole head in the bowl. Second sister. When Hua Manman heard this familiar voice, she was so frightened that she almost spit out the soup from her mouth. It took her a lot of effort to swallow the soup in her mouth, quickly put down the bowl, and stared at Hua Qingqing menacingly. Didn't you leave? Why did you run back again? Hua Qingqing pointed to the handkerchief beside the bed. My handkerchief is left here. She pursed her red lips tightly, suppressed a smile, and walked over to pick up the handkerchief. When she straightened up, she found that there was only a little scum left in the soup in the bowl. She finally couldn't hold it back, and smiled with curved lips. If the second sister likes to drink soup, I can cook it for you every day from now on. Although Hua Manman is greedy, she is not arrogant enough to make the heroine make soup for herself every day. She curled her lips stained with soup, and hummed disdainfully. I don't like your soup, don't be sentimental. Hua Qingqing looked at the soup bowl with only a little scum left, and smiled even wider. Then I'll go first, and I'll come to see you another day. Hua Manman pretended to be annoyed on purpose, and said in disgust, leave quickly, and don't come here again. Hua Qingqing returned to the Changshenjiayuan where the old lady lived. She told the old lady that the second younger sister actually has a good heart, but she is not good at expressing it, so she looks awkward. The old lady did not believe this statement at all. She is so old, who hasn't seen her? Hua Manman is a bad spoiled child who wants everything, is greedy and selfish, only cares about his own happiness, and never cares about other people's feelings. She felt that the eldest granddaughter was being tricked by Hua Manman, and she repeatedly told the eldest granddaughter to be careful and not to let down her guard against Hua Manman. Hua Qingqing knew that a few words alone would not be able to persuade the old lady to change her mind. Seeing is believing. So she said with a smile, it's still a long time, and you will know whether what I said is true or not. Her Highness doesn't want to work hard anymore. Author, De Guo Li. Chapter 8. Hua Qingqing was born to Hua Dingzong's original wife Liu. Due to Liu's frailty and sickness, she passed away in the second year after giving birth to the child. Later, Hua Dingzong continued to marry Mr. He, who gave birth to 2 sons and a daughter for him. The daughter is Hua Manman, and the other 2 sons are studying in Taixue, and they only go home on holidays. He was born in a family of generals, far less delicate than Liu's, and she is more straightforward in speaking and doing things, so the old lady, the second wife, and the third lady don't like her very much. For the daughter left by her original partner Liu, he doesn't hate her, but she definitely doesn't like her too much. The He family will never miss anything that should be given to Hua Qingqing. But don't think about the extra. He's behavior made the old lady disliked even more. The old lady felt that Mrs. He did not treat Hua Qingqing as her own daughter, and that Mrs. He's stepmother was incompetent, so she took Hua Qingqing to her side and took care of her personally. Therefore, among the grandchildren, the old lady's favorite is the eldest granddaughter Hua Qingqing. The old lady wanted to reduce Hua Manman's dowry in order to leave more dowry for Hua Qingqing. But he and Hua Dingzong refused to give in, and did not let the old lady get what she wanted, which made the old lady hold her breath all the time. Time passed quickly, and it was the second day of junior high school in a blink of an eye. Tomorrow, Hua Manman will have to marry to Prince Zhao's mansion. According to the rules, she has to say goodbye to her grandmother and parents today. She went to Changshenjiayuan early in the morning. The old lady doesn't like Mrs. He, and she doesn't like to see Mrs. He's children very much. In the past, every time Hua Manman came to the Changshenjiayuan, she could not get a good face from the old lady. She would be severely reprimanded by the old lady if she made a slight mistake, so that Hua Manman didn't like to come to the Changshenjiayuan even more. Occasionally, she was forced to come here, and she felt restless as if she had a needle stick under her buttocks. The maid told Hua Manman, "The old lady has just woken up and is still washing up." "Second miss, please wait a moment." Hua Manman had no choice but to stand outside the door and wait. Out of the corner of her eye, she caught a glimpse of a little white cat coming out of the flowers. Her eyes lit up, she immediately squatted down, beckoned to the little white cat, and let out a cat meow. The little white cat tilted its head and glanced at her, as if it sensed that she was not malicious, so it walked in front of Hua Manman with light catwalks. Hua Manman picked up the little white cat, stroked its head, scratched its chin, and smoothed its fur. The little white cat was very comfortable being touched, and couldn't help purring, flicking its tail accordingly, very comfortable. Suddenly came a stern question from behind. "What are you doing?" Hua Manman was taken aback, put down the little white cat in a hurry, stood up and turned around, and saw the old lady looking at her expressionlessly. She quickly bowed her knees and performed a Wanfu salute. "Grandmother." The old lady's gaze was like a knife, and she swept Hua Manman from head to toe, her eyes were full of criticism. Seeing that Hua Manman's clothes were stained with white cat fur, the old lady was about to reprimand her, but the little white cat walked up to the old lady and rubbed against her feet, very affectionately. The old lady swallowed the reprimand abruptly. She whispered to the maid who was following her, "Send Xiaobai to the eldest girl, and tell her that since you want to keep a cat, you have to take good care of it, and don't let it run around again. Here." The servant girl bent down and picked up the cat, then turned and left. Only then did Hua Manman know that the little white cat was raised by Hua Qingqing. The original text did not mention Hua Qingqing raising a cat. Hua Manman guessed that it was probably because this matter was not important, so he didn't write it on purpose. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Highness doesn't want to work hard anymore. Author, De Guo Li. Chapter 9. Hua Manman knelt on the futon, kowtowed politely to the old lady, and then offered hot tea with both hands. The granddaughter is going to get married soon, and she can no longer serve her grandmother in the future. Please take good care of her health. The old lady took the teacup and took a shallow sip. When you get married in the future, you will be the daughter-in-law of someone else's family. You can no longer act willfully and recklessly like you used to at home. You must abide by your duties, take good care of your husband and children, and don't embarrass our Zhongnanbo mansion. Granddaughter remembers her grandmother's teachings. Seeing that she behaved quite obediently today, not as impatient as in the past, the old lady was in a better mood. She produced a title deed and handed it over. As long as a girl from the uncle's family gets married, I will add makeup to one of them. This is for you. The old lady and Mrs. are in agreement on this point. Even if they don't like it in their hearts, they will try their best to do a good job on the surface, so as not to let others find faults. Huamanman took the land deed with both hands, and kowtowed again to express his gratitude. She knew that the old lady didn't want to see her, so after finishing the procedure, she got up and said goodbye tactfully. When she walked out, she saw Hua Qingqing in the yard. Hua Qingqing was wearing a smoky pink chest-length underskirt, with long hair reaching her waist. She was slim and graceful, with a smile in her beautiful eyes. She held a white kitten in her arms. Second sister. The kitten also barked twice at Huamanman. Kittens are so cute. Huamanman wants to reach out to pet the cat, but when she thinks of her character design, she can only suppress the desire to pet the cat, and mocked with disdain. Why are you here? Could this cat be raised by you? It's so ugly. Hua Qingqing curled her lips. This is my cat, it's called Xiaobai. I heard that you came to see grandma, so I brought Xiaobai here to see you. You are getting married tomorrow, and it will be difficult to see you again in the future. Come to Xiaobai, do you want to touch it again? The little white cat has a pair of green eyes, and the fur on its body is white and soft, making it easy to touch. Huamanman's claws are ready to move. But in the end reason prevailed over impulse. I don't want to touch such an ugly cat. After saying this, Huamanman ran away. She was afraid that if she looked at the kitten again, she would not be able to help but collapse the persona. Hua Qingqing looked at the back of the second sister running away, and couldn't help laughing again. Second sister is really awkward. The little white cat made a meowing sound, as if giving an affirmative answer. As soon as Hua Qingqing turned around, she saw the old lady standing at the door. Obviously, the scene just now was all seen by the old lady. Hua Qingqing walked over with the cat in her arms. Grandmother, I'm not wrong, the second sister is just a bit awkward, but she's actually quite kind. The old lady frowned when she remembered the way Huamanman was holding the kitten just now. I remember that Manman didn't like small animals before. Hua Qingqing, probably because she is too awkward, she likes it in her heart, but she insists on pretending not to like it, just like just now. The old lady was dubious, is this really the case? But she didn't think much about it. Anyway, Huamanman is going to get married tomorrow, so Huamanman's character has nothing to do with her. The old lady is most concerned about her granddaughter. Qingqing, you are the eldest daughter, so you should be allowed to marry first. But Manman's marriage was personally arranged by Princess Ningyang, and the wedding date was also chosen by King Zhao himself. We can't change it, we can only make you suffer a bit. Don't worry, I've already made an agreement with the Song family that the two of you will get married as soon as Song Ding's filial piety is over. When it came to marriage, Hua Qingqing couldn't help but blushed, showing embarrassment. I always listen to my grandmother. Her Highness doesn't want to work hard anymore. Author, De Guo Li. Chapter 10. On the third day of junior high school, Huamanman was pressed in front of the dressing table and put on makeup for a long time. The redness on her face had long since subsided. With the help of Swaya cream, the skin on her face became more delicate and smooth than before, like the finest white porcelain, without the slightest blemish. When Mammy came to show her off, she saw that her skin was so good, she just waved her hand and said no, second miss was already perfect like this. At dusk, Huamanman bid farewell to her parents and family. She covered her face with a fan, was picked up by the third younger brother, and walked out of the uncle's mansion step by step until she was sent into the carriage sent by Prince Zhao's mansion. Amidst the joyful sound of gongs and drums, the procession of seeing-off relatives headed for Prince Zhao's mansion mightily. Even if it was just marrying a child, Zhao Wang's mansion still gave Zhong and Bo's mansion enough face and made the marriage a lively one. Princess Ningyang even came to the scene in person, accepting the couples kneeling as her grandmother. When night falls, the lights come on. The guests left one after another. Prince Zhao's mansion returned to tranquility. Hua Manman sat on the bed covered with vermilion quilts, shaking the fan in his hand. On the bright red round tool fan, the dragon and phoenix show auspiciousness are embroidered with gold thread, and a concentric lock jade pendant hangs at the end of the fan handle. Accompanied by her shaking, the concentric lock jade pendant collided lightly, making a crisp sound. It is early summer, and the temperature is already relatively high, but her wedding dress is layered on top of each other, making it extremely hot to wear. But she couldn't take it off, so she could only lift up the hem of her skirt, revealing her white and straight legs, and use a fan to cool herself down. Si-yun walked outside the door to take a look, then came back quickly. "Second miss, the prince is here." Hua Manman hurriedly lowered the hem of her skirt to cover her legs, and at the same time fanned her back in front of her. Soon, the sound of the wheelchair gradually approached. The fan in Hua Manman's hand was taken away. She raised her head and looked at the man in the wheelchair. Li Ji was wearing a vermilion round-neck brocade robe, his black hair was tied up and fixed with a golden crown, and his long and narrow eyes were fixed on Hua Manman. In those pitch-black eyes, there seemed to be a sea of stars and a bottomless abyss. It makes people unable to see through. At this time, everyone else had already left, leaving only King Zhao and his new Huaruran in the new house. Hua Manman blushed, and called out shyly, "My lord." The voice is delicate and soft, and it seems to be full of deep affection. Li Ji turned the cooling fan in his hand, and the concentric lock jade pendant hanging from the end of the fan handle made a crisp sound. He looked at the beautiful girl in front of him, and asked casually, "Why don't you want to marry me?" Hua Manman didn't expect Li Ji's first sentence to be so straightforward. Fortunately, she had already prepared her speech. She secretly pinched her thigh, the pain made her eyes reddened, her eyelashes trembling slightly, as if she was about to cry at any moment. Because the concubine has heard people say that the prince is a terrible person, and the concubine is afraid in her body and mind, so she dare not marry. It wasn't until the concubine saw the prince's demeanor with her own eyes that she realized that the rumors were all lies. Not only is the prince not scary, but he is also extremely handsome, with a jade tree facing the wind, and his appearance is extraordinary, very good looking. At the end, she seemed to be too ashamed, she blushed and lowered her head. Li Ji raised her chin with a fan. Hua Manman was forced to raise her head again, revealing a pair of watery and beautiful eyes, the corners of which were still bright red like peach blossoms, both pure and charming, breathtakingly beautiful. Li Jidang looked into her eyes, and her heart sounded in her ears. "Damn it, my thigh hurts so much. I must have pinched it just now. If I knew it earlier, I shouldn't have used such force." Li Ji continued to ask without changing his face, "Aside from appearance, what do you think of this king's temperament?" Hua Manman's eyes were filled with admiration. "Your Highness is naturally noble, upright, wise, mature, upright, and a great man." However, she thought of the evaluation of King Zhao in Gongmao in a timely manner. Li Ji is vicious and treacherous, unpredictable, vengeful, and murderous without batting an eyelid. He is a villain through and through. Ask for votes and comments. I love you guys.